Hi everyone, welcome to the Occupational Health and Safety Program presentation. My name is Julie Alley, I'm one of the marketing coordinators. I'm here with Bobby Sidhu, the program head. Before we get started, I wanted to say that the British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of the Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Musqueam. Just to review, again, I'm Julie. I have another colleague, Darren, on the line as well. Jennifer, the Associate Dean, is here. We have a program advisor, Maggie, who will be on the chat. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat and we will answer them. For now, I'm going to start with a poll. What industries do occupational health and safety professionals typically work in? And from there, I will let Bobby take over.
My name's Bobby Sidhu. I'm the program head of the Occupational Health and Safety Program. I'm going to give an overview of what our program is, how you apply to our program, the job outcomes, and a variety of other topics. So why don't we play the video first, then I'll give the answers to the poll. So Julie, if you want to watch the video.
I love my job because I get fulfillment from it, knowing that people get to go home safe every night at the end of the day. Working with people, I mean, it's a huge part of what I do day in and day out. Working with the juniors, the apprentices, even the executives on trying to help them understand their health and safety responsibilities. The Occupational Health and Safety Diploma program at BCIT is second to none. It really prepares you for the on-site, real-world situations that you're going to come up against. And that's why I chose BCIT.
BCIT's Occupational Health and Safety Diploma program is the most comprehensive program of its kind in Canada. Our students get in-class lectures and labs, but also hands-on experience and a practicum on-site to give them practical knowledge. Our students learn to recognize, evaluate, and control a variety of workplace hazards and worker exposures, such as noise exposure, lighting, fall protection, and any other chemical contaminants that might be found in the workplace.
Every industry will require some type of safety. So whether I choose to stay in healthcare or move into oil and gas or into mining or into engineering, there will always be a job for health and safety professionals.
Every day knowing that the workers get to go home safely to their family, to their children, that is probably the #1 factor in me pushing forward to get this done properly and correctly every day.
So that video kind of gives some small snapshot of what we do. I'll just wait for Julie to jump back into the PowerPoint, but I'll give the answer to the poll in the meantime. So the one, everybody who answered got it right. It's anywhere there are workers, which is really going to open up a wide variety of job opportunities for students in the program and the graduates of the program. All right, so what is occupational health and safety? Let's talk about that. Next slide. So occupational health and safety, as Gerline, one of our instructors in the video, said, it's really the ability to go out and recognize, evaluate, and control hazards in the workplace. That's what our grads do for a wide range of industries. So who are we looking for? Basically, strong communicators. A large part of the job is talking to people, trying to understand what risks there are to workers. We do like to have applicants with some work experience. It says 5 here and on the program application site, but usually 3 to 5 is what we're looking for. So we do take applicants if they have less experience, but the more practical work experience they have, the better position they're in to relate to workers and talk to workers. Okay, so we have 2 program options available. I'm primarily going to talk about the diploma program. I'll overview our certificate. There is another info session for our certificate program. Our full-time diploma program is a 2-year program where the students learn health and safety, business, communications, human resources, a wide array of health and safety classes, as well as basic health sciences. Our diploma program is really equivalent to the first 2 years of university. And so it's also a good pathway for those without a bachelor's who are looking to move forward into a bachelor's degree. Our part-time certificate program is there's two of them. They ladder on each other. So the foundations associate certificate and the advanced certificate. So our foundation certificate is 7 classes. You can finish it in about 3 terms or 1 year, taking two and then 3 classes, or 2, 3 and 2 classes, whatever works for your schedule. Primarily our students in that one are those already working in industry and looking for either entry level position or looking to meet the requirements of the Board of Canadian Registered Safety Professionals to get certified in the profession of safety. So after completing the foundations, some students go on to the Advanced Safety Management Certificate, and that's an additional 15 courses, and it provides higher level health and safety courses. And together that meets the competencies of the CRSP credential, as I mentioned, for the Board of Canadian Registered Safety Professionals. For those of you interested in that program, David Wood will be doing an info session on that later. But between the two programs, the core content is the same. So what do you learn in the OHS diploma program? Well, safety management, in particular, skills around safety leadership, conflict resolution, really technical and operational safety topics. Our grads can be generalists across a wide range of health, safety, environmental, ergonomic, and disability management fields of study, or on any sector, and I'll list industry sectors later. Or they can be specialists and focus in one area of practice. Some people do that as well too. So there's quite a wide array of job opportunities out there. And so they can, a lot of the time our graduates are not union, they're excluded positions. They're coordinators, supervisors, or managers, everything from safety officers to senior safety management. So what do we typically do in the full-time program? What does a day look like? So it's a mix of lectures, discussions, field trips, laboratories. Students do about 30 hours of class time. And then they work on their assignments, case studies, and prepare for exams afterwards. So it's pretty much like a full-time job plus. There is research and fieldwork, as mentioned in the video. There is an industry practicum. So there's many grads who do practicums and then get full-time employment with the company they did their practicum with, or they use their project that they generate from that practicum as a part of their portfolio when applying for jobs. So we, again, have a wide area of practice, and we have occupational hygiene, which is looking at physical, chemical, biological hazards. We get into fire protection, ergonomics, safety-related topics such as mentioned in the video, falls, working at heights, electrical safety. The list actually goes on. And I can, of course, if anybody wants to chat later, I can give you a much longer list in a one-on-one session, but it's quite a wide area of practice. And as I mentioned, there's an industry practicum, a safety audit or safety program review that's done with an industry partner. So the benefits of the diploma program in particular is we provide an incredible amount of networking opportunities to our grads. So through career fairs, through facilitating our students attending monthly meetings with the Canadian Society of Safety Engineering or the American Industrial Hygiene Association. The AHA has been holding their meetings at BCIT campus, so it's really easy for students to go to class during the day and then head right into the meetings once a month and network with professionals. NIOSH week activities. There's other conferences that happen. There's the largest safety conference in Canada is happening in May, and they're sponsoring our students partially to attend. And so we're giving students time off to attend that in early May. And of course, day events in the schools, whether it's meet and greets with industry partners, speed mentoring session, guest lectures. I just had the largest general contracting construction company in the States, who has a footprint in Vancouver, come to a presentation. And part of it was a presentation to learn about the experiences of the safety manager, but he also brought his HR, and they were taking resumes right there in class from students, both for first year for summer jobs and looking for a full-time graduate. So both cohorts attended that presentation, and that's fairly common for our program. We have another one coming up next week with a large construction company is coming in to do presentations, and then they're going into breakout rooms to do one-on-one interviews to hire students. So we facilitate that for our students as part of the program. So what is our student profile? Like our program subject area, it's very diverse. 70% of our students have a bachelor's degree. So a lot of them are coming from university, and they went to university and maybe weren't able to find the job they liked, or nowadays bachelor's degree is almost kind of a baseline for work. So they weren't able to transition it to a career. So they're doing a job, maybe retail, but not a career, where our diploma allows them to do a career. And then we get WorkSafe sponsored. 10 to 15% are WorkSafe sponsored students. So those are people from trades who have been out of school for a very long time: carpenters, welders, steam fitters, people from the military, maybe injured at work, who come in through our program to basically enter a career in health and safety, and who understands health and safety better than someone who's been injured severely in a workplace environment. And the remaining students are usually master's, PhD, medical doctors. We've had 4 medical doctors one year, international usually. So we have like like a dermatologist next to a landscaper, next to a bachelor student. So it's a very diverse cohort. So the median age is 30, but it ranges anywhere from about 24 to 50 plus. So the roles, it's quite diverse in what we do. We can develop programs and monitor and evaluate safety programs in workplaces, liaise with private and government agencies. So part of our job is WorkSafe shows up to do an inspection, or WorkSafe has requirements. We act as somewhat of the touch point or buffer between the employer and WorkSafe to help them understand and interpret legislative requirements and WorkSafe's requirements. We develop training programs for workers, like falls protections or respirator programs, COVID protocol programs, and provide training to these staff, as well as teach others to provide the training so we can move on to higher level stuff once we've created and rolled out programs. We do promotion activities, health and wellness activities, coach and lead JOSH committees, so joint occupational health and safety committees. And we may conduct assessments of air, noise, temperature, vibration sampling, or we might hire contractors to do that and then have them provide us the reports where we interpret the findings and implement controls. So a day in the life is quite varied. You could be outside doing inspections. You could be in the office writing safe work procedures or standard operating procedures. You could be doing risk assessments or education and training. You could get a call that there's been an accident. You have to go out to the scene and do an accident investigation. You could be facilitating meetings such as toolbox talks or JOSH committee meetings, or sit with WorkSafe to discuss topics related to the employment. We could do the noise and air sampling, or you could be doing an audit or review of a work site. So salary expectations, obviously, what are you going to get for spending 2 years with us? The current salary range for grads is 65 to 95. Last summer, it was the average salary was about $75,000 out the door. I'll tell you right now, it's higher. The last 2 students who came in that basically showed me their offer letters for advice. One was 75K plus OT, and the other one starting salary with no job experience, which surprised me, but it's out there, $88,000. So $88,000 with benefits, and the grad has not really worked a job other than having a bachelor's degree. So we have particularly strong job outcomes right now due to the COVID labor crunch. You can't find a safety person right now, and so our grads are being offered. They're graduating in May, and they're being offered jobs today in February, or sorry, I guess March 1st now. For those experienced, 100 six figures plus is not unusual. $110,000, as I've listed there, probably higher now post COVID. Lots of great other options, and we are excluded staff in most organizations, so there's additional benefits that our grads do have. Some places are union environments, but both are excluded. So there's a higher ability to negotiate salaries and do contract work. So the roles, you can have job titles like OHS coordinator, OHS environmental specialist, OHS officer, manager, security director, advisor, consultant. Sometimes HSE is used instead, but anything in the health, safety, and environment field is usually what our job title would be. So I would say 95% of our grads are employed in a related field within 2 months of graduation, and the 5% that aren't are probably going to travel or do something else, and that's the only reason they're not employed. There's more jobs right now than there are grads, and so most of our grads right now have multiple job offers. Well, they don't have multiple now, but they will by May. Some of them, a couple of them actually do have multiple job offers, but by the end of May, they'll be picking what they want to do. So there's lots of opportunities for advancement, promotion, and professional development. There's lots of conferences and many industry associations, which I'll get to in a bit. And so there's also continuing education. Our number of our grads have gone on to do masters or MBAs as well. So where do our grads work? So this is a kind of a big slide here. Educational institutions. I was just up at UBC the other day. We have, I think, 3 grads working at UBC. We have a couple working at BCIT. Private consulting firms, a lot of smaller companies can't afford a full-time OHS person, so consulting firms will lease out their staff to these firms. So our staff will work for these companies and work in a variety of different places. Health authorities like Vancouver Coastal Health, Fraser Health, Island Health, Northern Health, PHSA all hire our grads. Telecoms such as TELUS, Rogers, Shaw all hire our grads. BC Hydro, Fortis. I have grads working up at Site C. I have grads working in Fortis. There's a lot of school boards. People don't realize that there's a ton of school boards for the elementary and high schools that hire our grads to protect the safety of the employees there as well as the students. Cities and municipalities, City of Vancouver, City of Richmond, City of Burnaby, City of New West, they all have their own health and safety divisions. And then there's the regional districts on top of that, such as Metro Vancouver, Fraser Valley Regional District, and then there's a provincial government like Health Canada, Environment Canada, Labor Canada, and the federal side of it. There's a BC Public Service. They all hire our grads. And so that's primarily the government side, but there's the whole industry side as well. So agriculture, film production, construction, forestry, food production, manufacturing, government, oil and gas, transportation, and so on and on. If you have people there, you're going to need health and safety people. And even if you don't have people there, Amazon has a lot of automation. Our grads work for Amazon. A good example of some industries that are really focused, film and media, ever since the Deadpool incident, where the stunt coordinator died, as well as the Russ incident where Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed someone. Regulators across North America have a big eye on health and safety in the film and media. So they've been really looking to hire our grads to basically make sure that workers are being kept safe, and regulators are happy considering there's such a lens on that industry right now. So this is Adrian. He's a graduate. He worked as a server and a landscaper before entering the OHS program. He went out and worked in the interior for a summer job, which really opened up his career to occupational hygiene, one branch of what we do. And as he said, the quality instruction that he received from the instructors and the guest speakers put him in a place to start a rewarding career. And that's what he has. He's working in industry, and the last I spoke to him, he's loving his job and his career. So the admission requirements. So our intake is open till April 4th. And if you're interested, put an application in. Even if you're missing something, we do look at midterm marks. So if you have to quickly register and take a entry level, one of the requirements, if you can get the midterm marks by mid to late April, we would hold a seat if you're an otherwise good candidate. For the certificate, we have 3. Basically, that's you take the courses piecemeal, and that is open right now, and you can register for courses for the April session. But basically, the courses run for 12-week terms in September, January, April. So what happens in the application process? Basically, you submit an application. I would say spend time on the application questionnaire. We like to know who the students are and get it in. And it's okay. They'll let you know if you're missing something. And if you need to register for an open learning class, like for our requirements, it's Chem 11, Math 11, Physics 11, and English 12. If you're missing anything, you can take an open learning class. They're for BC residents. Those are free, and just power through that class and get us your midterm marks. And so when you submit those, just convert everything to PDF and complete the questionnaire and apply at BCIT's online at BCIT. So as I said, our requirements are proficiency in speaking and listening, 2 years of full-time education in English-speaking country. So English 12 or 3 credits of post-secondary English, Chemistry 11, Physics 11, and my apologies, it's Math 12. I always messed that one up. Math 12 or pre-calculus 12, and then the mandatory questionnaire. So we give preferential requirements to people who have good academics, but at the same time, work experience and a good working history is really important as well too. Especially for example, people coming from the trades background, we do prefer that even if they don't have a big academic background, those are students we like in the program for the breadth of experience. So we definitely want them to apply. And if you've taken additional post-secondary work, don't hold off on submitting anything. We like to see well-rounded candidates. And so this is just a part of the process, and admissions can help with this, but basically, scan your transcript, upload it into the system or download it. Everything digital now. Please don't mail stuff in, if preferably not. And if you're a BCIT student from another program, we already have your transcripts on file. They can access that directly. And so what our admissions department does is it looks to make sure you meet eligibility requirements. So sometimes students ask me about eligibility, and I usually refer them back to admissions because I don't look at eligibility. I only look at students once they get past that process. And so admissions is the best person to tell you what to do to meet the admissions requirements. And so we get a list from them of those people who've met the requirements or are working to meet the requirements. And then we can either give full acceptance or provisional acceptance based on completing them before they enter the program, and letters are sent out. And as mentioned, some students do continue on to advanced coursework. Some students will come in and do the diploma and then continue on. They want to do their bachelor's. They can either do the ladder right into the Bachelor's of Technology and Environmental Health, or there's other bachelor programs with some 1 or 2 course upgrading. You can do BBAs in business administration. Some students of ours have done the diploma, worked for a number of years, and simply gone right onto an MBA program, using their work experience to meet the qualifications at other institutions. So that's definitely something we can talk about for career planning, that we do sometimes, that helps students decide the best way to continue. A lot of our students do already have bachelor's degrees though, so for them, they may look at a master's. Yeah, so BCIT is here to support you. We have a variety of different, I don't want to say
Bobby, if
organizations.
it's okay, I can, I'll present
Oh, sure,
this.
Julie, go for
Okay,
it.
thank you. Now moving on from the academics, I would like to let you know BCIT is committed to supporting students in a holistic sense. We want you to succeed not only in your academics, but also outside of school. Some of the student services are available to you as a prospective student, and others will be available to you once you become an enrolled student. Here are some of the other important student supports that I'd like to mention. If you are Indigenous, BCIT's Indigenous Initiatives Department is there for you to ensure a smooth transition into your first year. They offer peer-to-peer mentorship, a welcoming gathering place, and provide clarification on Indigenous funding. BCIT awards, scholarships, and bursaries are listed on our financial aid and awards webpage. I would like to mention that we have a President's Entrance Award. Selection is based on academic achievement, but also on volunteer and community service as well. Please contact financial aid directly for more information. BCIT is committed to providing assistance to students with permanent or temporary disabilities. If you have been accepted to a program and believe that you may need accommodation to be successful, I encourage you to connect with our Accessibility Services Department. BCIT's Health Services is a health clinic located on the Burnaby campus. They provide medical care for current BCIT students year-round. We also have Counseling and Student Development Department available to help you enhance your educational performance and maximize your success as a student at BCIT. And last but not least is Rec Services, which promotes, encourages, and enables the practice of physical well-being. We consider recreation an integral part of campus life and welcome all students to enjoy their services. Program advising. Please don't hesitate to contact Program Advising. Maggie's one of the representatives here today. They're fantastic. If you have a question or unsure of something, they are able to answer questions regarding entrance requirements, application processes, student resources, success strategies, program schedules, and everything else. So they are available to assist you via telephone, email, or in person by virtual appointment. Please go to their webpage, bcit.ca/advising, for their most up-to-date contact information and service hours. If your inquiry is time sensitive, please call them during their telephone advising hours. That is the best option to get your questions answered quickly. And now, social media. We are everywhere. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Please connect with us, reach out, look at our posts, our videos. We try and put new, fresh content out every week. Also, we have several of these options for visiting the campus, exploring further, coming to another info session, spending the day on campus. These are all the links. And you will all receive a link to this recording and an updated slide deck after this session. So expect that early next week. So don't worry about screenshotting or writing notes. You will receive this all. And now I'd like to open up the floor for questions and answers.
So there's a few questions that I can start answering. And if anybody has others, I'm more than happy to. So Sinead, you asked, you're already working in safety and you want to meet the academic requirements for the CRSP exam. For you, I would recommend the certificate program. I'm not sure what the BCRSP website says. They might be using the word diploma in more of a general sense. But our two certificates together, the foundation certificate and the advanced certificate, taken and completed would meet the academic requirements to sit the CRSP exam. You would still need the 4 years work experience. But when the rules changed back, I want to say in 2019, we updated our program and realigned it to make sure we were compliant. So those two would meet the requirement. If you have more questions about that, feel free to email me, and I'm happy to answer any questions or concerns you may have regarding how to meet the academic requirements for the BCRSP exam. The difference between the certificate and diploma, the job outcomes are the same. People end up in the exact same place as their career progresses. The differences are having to do with, some people can't go back to school full time. There's life reasons, there's work reasons. So, or they're already working in safety and they're trying to meet the requirements of the BCRSP exam. So that's where the certificate is good for that cohort. For people without a background in safety or new grads particularly, the diploma program is a better route to enter because of the huge amount of networking. The diploma grads probably will start with a higher salary than the certificate grads because of that, but it quickly evens out as practice develops. So I would say the entry to practice for the diploma and the job opportunities due to the networking are better. The networking and the certificate falls wholly on the student. We can help out, but if you have the hustle to network, you'll probably be exactly the same. But that's a lot of work to network as well as take the courses on your own. So that's kind of the difference. I think that answers the questions, unless I missed one. If anybody has any other questions or I can elaborate further, I'm happy to do so. Kalia, I would register for an open learning chemistry 11 class. You just make it clear that you've registered, that you should be able to, between March and mid-April, get a midterm done. So I put an application in, and if you otherwise good candidate, we're happy to hold a spot. So you don't have to finish Chem 11 to be offered that spot, but you need to finish it before the program starts in September. But we need to see midterm marks probably by mid to late April. Sinead, no, I would say no because we cannot guarantee that the BCRSP would accept that. So I don't recommend you do that. You could register and take the classes, but if you apply to the BCRSP with both credentials, a different one and ours, they would probably reject that. So if you have a certificate from a different institution, I would reach out to that institution and ask for them for their laddering program, like we've developed, to ensure that you meet the requirements of an academic program from the BCRSP. We cannot say that you would be able to do that. And I would highly not recommend you try to do that without a prior either approval of the BCRSP, which I'm sure they won't give, or reach out to your other institution. I've had students reach out before regarding this, and I always direct them back to their own institution for their laddering program. When the credentials changed, all our old applicants, our previous applicants, we created this. There's a third associate certificate that ladders them into the CRSP academic requirements that's not listed here, but it's only for those grads who were in the program prior to the changes. So you really need to reach out to the other institution and ask them what plan they have for you. So we actually have a practicum. It's embedded in a course. That's why you don't see it listed as a fieldwork, but it is fieldwork. So there's 2 courses in the second year, one in September, where in a group of 3, you have to do a 3-element audit at an industry site. And then in January to when you graduate in May, you have one major project where you do an industry audit by yourself, your own full audit with an industry partner. Now, it might look weird that we don't have a co-op in the summer. And the reality is, the reason we don't is all our students get summer jobs. We don't need to be involved in a co-op and make it more complicated. That would actually just probably slow the process down. I regularly get, I've got 2 or 3 postings just today sent to me from summer employers to say, hey, I'm looking for a student. Could you share this posting? So we help facilitate the summer jobs. Everybody gets one if they want it. But we don't have a summer co-op per se because it's really not necessary on our side. We already have an industry project embedded in our program with an industry partner. So to answer your question, yeah, for students, we'll get summer jobs for sure. It's for the full-time program. It is 5 days a week, primarily on campus. Online, not really. The pandemic, we were online, but we're back into full-time on campus. Occasionally, for whatever reason, we might switch to Zoom to accommodate a distance guest lecture, but it's 5 days a week on campus. The only time you're not is if you're doing your practicum, where in second year we give 1 day a week to go do that, but otherwise it's on campus. We typically admit 2 international students a year. If the domestic seats don't fill, which happens once in a while, we will open it up further to international students. So it's not a strict limit, but domestic students are typically given preferential seats before it opens it up to more international. So for transparency, yes, last year we actually did add a couple extra international students into the program. So I would say apply. I mean, if you're a strong applicant, otherwise you may have a good shot.
Thank you, Bobby.
Yeah, no problem. We actually have did you say you were from Hong Kong?
Yes, I'm from Hong Kong and I've already submitted an application already.
Okay, great. Yeah, we have 4 students from Hong Kong in the program right now, actually.
All right.
And I believe they're all international.
Great to know. Thank you.
All right. Don't hesitate to email me. I'll just I'm sure my email was up there, but if anybody wants to copy and paste it, they can do it. Oh yeah, right. Yeah. So thank you, Julie. So it's Bobby_Sidhu at BCIT.ca. If you have any questions about the career or want to come in to be a student for a day, or have questions about if you want to go down that CRSP route, we're happy to help as much as we can for anybody. So just fire me an email and we can have a chat.
And thank you, Bobby, for that great presentation. I know we had some hiccups there. Sorry about that. You will get the correct slide deck and the recording. So there'll be that in your email to look forward to. Thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
Have a great night, everybody.